Morning, everyone. This is Nithin Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 882. I'm joined by a really special guest. Her name is Kelly Gunther. She's a long track speed skater. She competed in the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi. And man, her resume speaks for herself. Not only the Olympics, she's done a lot of stuff. She's been a part of a World Cup teams, national teams, everything. And we're going to get to all of that and her career, her journey, and the growth of women in sports, which I'm a big advocate in. And first of all, Kelly, I just want to say thank you for joining the show. It's truly an honor. Like I said, your resume speaks for yourself. You're such an inspiration in women in sports. And first of all, how are you and your family doing today?
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm honored to be here as well. We are all good and just excited to be here, and I keep sharing and inspiring as many as I can.
Yeah, so I want to start off with your childhood growing up, and what was it like? When did you get interested in sports? And before deciding on ice skating as a sport, what did you get to play any other sports growing up? And did you have a role model growing up?
hmm I actually honestly didn't have a role model or anything like that. I just was watching the Winter Olympics at 6 years old.
Wow.
And granted, I don't know if I knew exactly what the Olympics were at that time. But as I was watching figure skating,
Yeah.
I can remember watching Michelle Kwan and Sarah Kopinski.
Hmm.
And I saw them, just kind of tell their story through music as they skated on the ice. And I had said, as that 6-year-old little girl, I want to be on that stage someday. Like, I want to share and tell my story. So with that being said, and just wasting no time, I went to the local roller rink the very next day. So absolutely nothing to do with ice. And I did what they did, and I told my story and I skated through the music. But the only problem is I was a little too fast for the music. I couldn't necessarily hear the beat of it. And so that's how I got then involved into inline speed skating. That is not an Olympic sport, and that's where the junior and world championships teams come from, until I transferred over to long track speed skating.
Wow, that's amazing. So at 6 years old, and obviously, Olympics is a big thing for everyone in the country, all over the country. So what was it like just watching the Olympics on TV though? You said to yourself that you wanted this to happen, and you made it happen. But at 6 years old, what was it like just watching these other athletes go through the ups and downs and how hard they worked to get to where they wanted to be, which is the Olympics? What was it like at 6 years old just watching that happen?
hmm I really believe it was just, as I watched and sat there, I was just memorized how they told their story through this, huge event that they were at, and having the spectators, be in the stands and having so many watch. So for me as that little girl, I just, wanted to really just be like them and have that, community that, that they were, and knowing, that they got to the highest stage of their level that they could get to.
Hmm. So obviously you went to high school in Clinton Township, Michigan, and well, what was that like? What was your high school experience? What were the main things that you learned there? And obviously as a speed skater, ice skater, what did you work on in high school to improve?
hmm High school was, it was a little difficult for me. I was diagnosed with learning disability very early on.
Hmm.
So high school was hard just because I wanted to necessarily be like that girl. I've always wanted to be a
Yeah.
cheerleader or different things like that. So now I can say I never was a cheerleader in high school, but now I can be your cheerleader, motivator offside the track. But my high school was very supportive, and actually in 2019, I was inducted into the High School Hall of Fame of where I graduated. So
Congrats.
it's really neat to be able to go back and kind of thank them, because they were a huge support system, of my skating and of my career. So to be able to have that, at a public high school was something that is so special, and that I obviously, still honored today. But because of that, I had my skating, and that's what something, I really learned that during those 4 years of school. I may not have been that typical girl that I maybe always wanted to be, but I had my skating, and that was such a huge outlet for me, because then by senior year, my friends, called me the roller girl, or what country I was going to, so it just kind of really got to be cool in that aspect of it.
Well, that's amazing, and congrats on the Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, but I want to ask you though, when you got diagnosed with a disability, how hard was it for you just to focus on the obviously focusing on the speed skating, but also focusing on academics? So, how hard was it for you? And obviously you overcame that. So, and what were the things that you did or cope with, and what was the how should I say it? What did you do to cope with that and to overcome with that?
Yeah, it's something that I will have forever. I just really have a learning disability diagnosis. Not too long ago, I even went to the neurologist and asked like the exact name of it, and he just laughed and he had said, "You just simply have a learning disability."
Wow.
So so it's something that I will always have. But really being able to cope with it, comes with age and comes with wisdom. Middle school and high school, I was so embarrassed of it because I didn't necessarily know, being separated
Yeah.
was, such a bad thing, and it's not a bad thing. You just need a little extra help. Where now I want to be an advocate and a voice of it, to be able to give back and tell, because I'm in my early 30s, and how many people can say that they still talk to their seventh grade special ed teacher? Probably not very many. And I talk to her, once or twice a month. And if I need help with a speech or whatever the scenario is, I still have that,
Right.
that teacher aspect, because at the end of the day, I'm still learning and I still need to grow. So to be able to cope with it, I think it really just for me came with, age and, wisdom, to be able to look back and say, hey, it's something that I'm actually so thankful that I have it, because I was then able to use what I was good at, and I am really good at talking. So, I used that to be able to give back and, use a voice that I have.
Wow, that's amazing. Kelly, you know what? You proved everyone wrong. So you're amazing already.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I want to ask you though. So after high school, going to college, and what was the college experience for you? And would you say that this is where you ramped up a little bit just to get ready and for your next journey, which was which was the ice skating in the Olympics? But first, just explain your college experience after high school.
Mm-hmm. I never got to go to college
Okay.
because right out of high school, I went straight
Okay.
into
Yeah.
switching over to ice skating, because did inline skating for 10 years in my career. And as I said, that was never an Olympic sport. So at 19, I still knew I wanted to go to the Olympics. And now I'm a little bit older. I have to learn a whole new sport all over again. So right out of high school, I'm from Michigan. I moved to Salt Lake City, Utah, to be able to start this whole new dream and career. And that really just took off, and was able to learn and compete that way.
Wow. Yeah, so this is a two-part question. So take me through your training routine or experience when you switched to inline skating to the speed skating, and how long did it take for you to adjust? What was the adjustment period like? Your training routine, and the next part to this, how did the Olympics come about for you, and did they reach out to you, and how did you get the opportunity?
Mm-hmm. So inline versus long track speed skating, they're kind of similar within training, but very different aspect. Ice skating is very technical. So if you're not technical sound, I always say you're not going to go faster and turn left. And it is very long days. We train every single day, twice a day. I kind of say it's like going to school. You get up in the morning, you can come home for lunch, and then you go back to training. You're training for about 8 hours a day. Versus we're inline, we would train every single day, but it would only be maybe like a 2-hour training session or a 3-hour. So, ice skating is very, as I said, technical. So they actually take the long track ice out. So in the summer, that is our base training. So we're riding our bikes, 60s, anywhere to 100 miles every week, or sometimes just a single ride. We're playing ice hockey to be able to get that feel and not lose that feel of the ice. So it's very different in that aspect, to be able to, switch over and to learn a whole completely different sport. And then the second part of the question, it was just, the Olympics, you try out for it. You're not necessarily invited, to it. You have to be able to get a time standard to be able to qualify. And then if you have that basic, gender time standard, then you'll be able to qualify. And then as our country, each race is different. So anywhere from a 500 to a 5K, there's different spots for the United States to be able to be earned. So maybe in the 500, we have 2 spots. Maybe in the 5K, there's 4 spots, and 4 is the maximum spot that you can earn if it's not in your country. So then if you're able to get one of those top 2 or 5 spots, then you're able to qualify for the Olympics.
Wow, interesting. So after you tried out, how confident were you that you could make the team?
Well, it was very just cut and dry. Once I tried out for the Olympics, I had made the 4th and final position. So it was something that was very exciting for me, and just 2 years prior, 4 years,
Yeah.
I had a double compound fracture.
Oh, wow.
So I had no idea if I was ever going to be able to skate again. So to be able to just get through the Olympic trials was something that was so exciting for me, and to be able to then make it was something that I was so proud of.
Man, so speaking of the compound fracture, take me to that and the adversity that you had to go through and the training to get back to where you're at right now. So how long did that process take, and obviously how grateful are you now to overcome that?
Absolutely. It happened in 2010, 2 months after I had just missed and made the 2010 Olympic team. I was racing a 500 meter, and it was just the way that I had fallen that day. And so literally it was probably almost about 2 years to be able to come back. The first year I had a plate and 10 screws in. I did all of my rehab at the Olympic Training Center. So talk about college, I kind of used that as my college. There was dorm rooms, cafeteria, it's like a huge
Wow.
center for athletes to be able to come in and train. A lot of sports are based out of there at the Olympic Training Center. So my first summer, I was there for about 5 to 6 months, and we had no idea if I was ever going to be able to skate again. I walked in to the head doctor's office with a boot and crutches,
Wow.
and we had no idea what was ahead of us. But I used my rehab every single day, twice a day, because now I was 22, 23. And ever since I was that 6-year-old little girl, I had never been off my skates my entire life. So I really didn't know what to do with myself. So my rehab really just became my training. 1 year later, the doctor removed all of the pins and screws. And then when he had did that, that's when he would have known if the foot were to have needed to be amputated,
Wow.
which thank God it didn't. It's still attached, it's healthy. I have no hardware in there. So then I have to go back to Colorado to learn how to use my ankle without any hardware.
Hmm.
So that's why I say it's about 2.5 year of a long process of rehab. And then we were about 2 years out from the Olympic trials in Sochi,
Wow.
Russia, and it's go time. So I just really put my head down and focused, and wanted to make my rehab team proud of what we just overcome, and just to have fun with it.
Wow, Kelly, we gotta put your story out there more. Everybody needs to learn about you, and this is insane. This is really inspiring to me, and we gotta put this on ESPN 30 for 30 or something.
Yes, that'd be a dream come true.
Yeah. I mean, we got to make this happen for you, Kelly. Come on. This is really amazing what I'm hearing. But for you, so once you overcame that injury, and going back at 6 years old, you said you wanted to be in the Olympics. And what was it like once you made when you made the Olympics team? And then what did you say to yourself when you made the team, saying to myself, at 6 years old, I wanted to do this, and you finally made it happen. So.
Mhm. It was honestly so surreal. I think for a few days, I couldn't believe that I had just made that dream come true ever since I was that little girl, because I had never missed an opening ceremonies. I had never missed an Olympics. Leading up to then the actual Olympics, I got to walk into, and walking through opening ceremonies, I just kept saying, is this real life? Like, I can't believe I'm here after all of the hard work that I did and put through. But I just kept reminding myself, dreams can't come true, and to be able to never give up, and, just to keep chasing and fighting for them. That's something that is so important. So when I really made it, it was just a dream that literally had come true for me, and all of the hard work that I had put into it.
Yeah, so now going to 2014 Sochi, Russia Olympic Winter Games, and you did the 1,000 meter 33rd. So what was that like going as a team, and what was the experience like? And big fan base, a lot of people around the country going there, and What was it like just competing in front of fans and the experience like for you?
It was absolutely amazing to be able to step out into that ice that very first time. I was very emotional. My head doctor, that was my head doctor in Colorado Springs, was the head doctor there in Sochi, Russia. And to be able to have him in the stands was something that I will be able to cherish and have forever because, just 4 years prior, we had no idea if I was ever going to be able to
Wow.
skate again. And now he's actually in the stands at my Olympic race. It was just remarkable to be able to skate not only in front of him, but everybody who had, pushed me and believed in me to get there. It was just fun and something that the story lives behind. That's something that's so deeper than a gold medal, but it was very special moment.
So when you stepped on the ice, be honest, were you nervous or were you how nervous were you, or did you like once your doctor was there, did the nerves come off or?
Yeah, no, yeah, they did. It was just more fun for me. I mean, I'm not a medal contender, so I didn't have such much nerves, maybe as a medal contender did. For me, it was just to go out and have fun and really enjoy the moment. To be able to just say that I skated at the Olympics and just have fun with it and skate my favorite race of the 1,000 meter, and that's exactly what I got to do.
Wow. Yeah. So speaking of support system, what's it like to have people that believed in you from day one and that didn't leave, and then people behind your back supported you and helped you work hard to get where you're at right now. So what's it like to have that support system around you?
Yeah, it really is a lot at the end of the day to be able to have that support system because if you don't, it's very hard to be able to keep moving. And that's why, I'm so thankful today that I still talk to my special ed teachers in high school or middle school and high school because, but they believed in me then and they believe in me now. So to be able to have that, is so huge. And that goes for, coaches as well. My inline coach was like a father figure to me. So to have that, that push and that drive still today is something that is so important.
Yeah. So after the Olympics, your career started to take off quickly here. So take me through in 2016, 17, and then 18. Oh, actually, 2000 after 14, 15, you went up. So you've been through a lot of World Cup teams, national teams. So take me to all that experiences throughout the years.
hmm World Cup teams were something that was so special to be able to, to keep pushing yourself because that's what then qualifies you for the Olympics and to be able to travel and to go to the different places and skate on, sea level versus in Salt Lake City, we skate in high altitude. So to be able to, just to keep learning and to keep training, be able to put into that work having those World Cups were something that is such a world of an experience to be able to have and, live forever.
Yeah. So what would you say your best moment in your career outside in the Olympics and all the stuff you've been through? So what do you think? What would be your best moment in your career?
Oh, that's such a good question. I love that question. My honest answer, my favorite answer is my double compound fracture. Having my foot hang off my leg was the best thing that can ever happen to me. I'm sure a lot of people are like, what? Like having your foot hang off your leg? And I say that because even in that moment when I was laying on the ice, when I looked and saw my foot detached from my leg, I never lost confidence. I kept calm and I couldn't wait to skate again, even though I didn't know if my foot was going to be able to be reattached. But it was that moment of learning that, everything happens for a reason and to change that negative into a positive. Like I said, I never got to go to college. So
Yeah.
the Olympic Training Center, I used that as my college. And, I wasn't surrounded by, students going to school, but I was surrounded by athletes going to training. Michael Phelps was coming in and out. And, to be able to have that such a community is something that, taught me so much of, what a support system is. And, when I made the Olympic team, I always say, I didn't just make it for me. I made it for all of the trainers and all of the athletes that I had that became friends in Colorado to be able to, to have that. So that's something that is so special of my career that, it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
Wow. So this is another two-part question. And what's next for you? Are you still working? planning on joining this year's whenever the next Winter Olympics? Is that your goal to be in the next one and the next part to this? What was your thoughts on the Olympics that we just had in Tokyo, with no fans? And obviously it was kind of weird with no fans. But what was your thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm. I am officially retired.
Okay.
Come January will be 4 years.
Oh, wow.
I missed 2018 by one final position. I was going to retire, rather I made it or didn't make it. I was falling apart. I was getting older. My body, had reached at max mentally and physically. So I was happy to be retired. And so what's next for me is to tell my story and inspire as many as I can, because I always say I made a dream come true. Now it's everybody else's turn to make a dream come true. And I want to be that cheerleader, that I never got to be, to help and push and motivate so many others to be able to know that it doesn't matter if you have a disability. It doesn't matter, X, Y, and Z of maybe what you have. But if you believe in yourself and you keep going, you can change and you can set the world on fire if you want to. So it's so, so important. And that's what really I want to do, and write a book and, just keep going and never give up. And then the Olympics this year, I was so excited that they were able to go and compete and, live that moment and have their dream. But also at the same time, I felt so bad for them because there was nobody in the stands. There was not that excitement that the Olympic movement at the end of the day just brings to them. There was none of that for them. So it was, as excited as I was to watch and have them go there, it was also just as heartbreaking, because that is such a huge, motivator for those athletes to be able to feed off of that. And, I think Simone Biles, really set the stone for that. And I commend her so much to be able to, to put herself mentally first, because if you're not there and you're competing for everybody else, you're not going to be able to compete for yourself. And to be able to sit back as an athlete and see that from the outside, that is such a huge moment for her. And that to me is bigger than any gold moment that she could have ever accomplished.
Wow. Did you reach out to Simone Biles after that incident?
I did not.
Yeah. So she kudos to her, but for her to come back to win the bronze, it was amazing, and such an inspiring lady too. And obviously, and also I think the Paralympics is starting soon here. So what are your thoughts on that? Because I feel like this is really awesome what they do for the Paralympics people.
It is. I just saw that they had opening ceremonies, I think last night or today, because of Tokyo time. But to be able to watch them, I always say, they're really the true MVPs, because they could do half of what we could do. So to be able to see them, go out and do their sport, and they never have a bad day, I think that's really remarkable to sit back and watch them compete for their dreams.
Yeah, so obviously after your career, you're a motivational speaker. So what's it like to speak in front of people or give people advice all the time? What's that been like for you being a motivational speaker?
I'm really at the bottom of the ropes, still learning how to get there. So for me, it's kind of like practice. It's kind of like learning all over again and going out as a 6-year-old, learning skating. And I use that with my speaking, but it has been absolutely amazing to be able to share and tell my story, and, hope it resonates just with one person, to be able to let them know it doesn't matter what obstacles you face and what the world throws at you, because it's never going to be a perfect day. And that's really where I've come back and named myself, the comeback kid. NBC had named me that of the 2014 Olympics. And it's something that it just really has grasped onto me because of everything that I had come back from. And it doesn't matter if we're 7 or 75, we've all been a kid once in our life, and we're always going to have to come back, from something. And, why not be the comeback kid yourself? Because it's the kid inside of you is always going to be there. So to be able to share and tell my story and motivate is something that is so special to me.
You're definitely the comeback woman for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I want to get to an important topic here, women in sports, and like I said, I'm a big advocate in it. And we have 8 people helping out with the show, and 4 of them are females. And I'm giving every opportunity to females to get their to get their to get to their goal, which is in the sports industry. So for you, what do you like about the growth of it, and especially now female coaches getting to coach male sports now?
Mm-hmm. I really think it's amazing to be able to, to go in the direction that it's going in. Females, I love seeing them to be able to support and go after their dreams and, to be able to be on the field. I think it's kind of cool to see them, to be able to coach, male athletes. I think there's still a long ways to go there with respect, because it's just different. And for girls, at least for me in skating, we chase the guys because we know that they're better, faster, and stronger. So that's where I think it's just so cool to be able to see them get to that level, to be able to show that we are just right there and we want to just be, as good as them. So I think it's really neat that they have come such a long way to be able to step outside that field and say, we're a female, we're not scared of them, we're just as strong. So I think, I commend them for doing what they believe in.
Yeah. So, for you, what advice would you give to young girls and young or to the youth or other people that are trying to get to their goal, which or it's the same goal as you, which is Olympics or whatever sport they want to do? What advice would you give them, especially on the nutrition side and also working hard?
hmm Thank you for asking that question. I loved, to give back, and my best advice is, for the youth and, for kids who have those dreams. Absolutely, no dream is too small. And don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't do something, because if you love it and you want it bad enough, you will absolutely be able to get there, and you can't give up on yourself. And if you're a girl listening to this, or even a boy who maybe don't believe in yourself or don't think you're smart enough, or whatever the reason is, let me tell you, I sat in that seat. I never thought I was smart enough or pretty enough, but you are. And keep finding that comeback kid inside of you, because she and he are there and they want you to keep growing. So don't ever stop. Don't ever sell yourself short. And then on the nutrition side, just have fun with it. And, make color food, put your bananas and, fruit, or, whatever it is that you like, and you have fun with it. Food is fun, and, just keep going.
What would you tell your 6-year-old self now?
I would tell her probably the same thing that I would say today, that, just keep going, and, share your story to the world, as many as you want, and just have fun with it, and, set those goals out and those dreams out. I think that's something that, having that dream as a 6-year-old little girl, and now being at the age that I'm at, it's neat, because now I can put myself back into that 6-year-old little girl and say, my dream is still that dream as a 6-year-old little girl. I'm not skating anymore, but now I can tell my story using my voice, just as they skated in front of the crowd. So I would just go back and tell her, keep doing what you're doing and keep using that voice.
Have you done any other interviews than David's and our show?
Yes, I've been on a few different podcasts, so it's so neat to be able to connect with different podcasters and tell my story. And I'm always on Breakfast of Champions, on Clubhouse, to be able to connect with them and meet such many high role models for me, to for them to keep pushing me.
Yeah. So speaking of your book, you said you're going to write a book. Have you come up with the title yet, or any? Yeah, have you come up with the title?
I have not. There's been a few that have maybe resonated with me, but there hasn't been one that has really stuck at the end of the day. I've started writing actually during quarantine, and so now I just gotta keep jotting down and keep going, because I don't think it's just going to be one book. I almost think it'll be a series of a book. But so I'm excited to see what the title of it is.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. And also, I see a nice saying behind you. It says, "Lead the Lord." What does that mean to you?
My faith is really important to me. And in Salt Lake City, at my home base church was there. And that is something that is just so, into my heart, lead me, Lord, because at the end of the day, I want to be led by him, and, him showing me what is next, where am I supposed to go? And it's such a huge learning lesson for me to always remind myself I'm not in the driver's seat, but the Lord is, and letting Him, control and put me where I'm supposed to go, and that's exactly where I'm supposed to go, and just letting Him keep leading me to where I'm supposed to end up.
Wow. Yeah. So, all right. Favorite food, favorite music, and favorite sports movie.
Favorite food would definitely be steak, I would say. Or home anything homemade. I'm not a cook, so whoever can make a home cooked meal, sign me up. Uh, Favorite music, definitely country. I love country music. And a favorite sports movie would have to be most definitely Miracle.
Yeah, that's there. Now you're talking. I love Miracle. That's the best, by far, the best sports movie on the planet.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to ask you though, what's it like just to wear red, blue, and white, and the logo USA on the jersey? I mean, on the skating jersey. What's it like to be able to do that for your country?
It's something that is so remarkable, and to be able to actually know that you earned to represent our country, and to be able to go out there and have it proudly, across your chest or the name on your back, because it's not your last name on your back. It's
Yeah.
you're United States of of America that you're representing. And that is such a huge, brand to be able to, to have and to be able to carry. So it's just an absolute honor to be able to represent the country that we stand for and love to be. And at the end of the day, you bleed red, white, and blue, and it's something that is just really marked into who you are.
And to be able, and also we always dominate in the Olympics, gold with medal stuff. But it doesn't matter about that, because it tells you how much talent there is around the country here in the U.S. And we have so much young talent now. So what's it like just to see the talent coming up for the Olympics, and Team USA always dominating with the people we have now?
hmm I love watching, the up and coming, because I can remember, being there where they are and being able to reach, that goal starting from where they are. And I think that's what I love to be able to give back and to watch, because, they are the next up and coming. They're the next ones to be able to represent our country, and to I hope to one day leave a legacy so they can look up to, to what I did, to so for them to be able to reach and make their own legacy at the end of the day. So I love, 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 seeing what the youth is doing, and, using it in sports and showing and telling who they are, because it's such a huge, voice to be able to have something like that.
Yeah. So before we get to the last two things, I'm going to say this. The movie Miracle, your story is a miracle.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So the last two things here, before I let you go, our team is part of this foundation, and we're big into foundations, helping out people in the community, and we're part of this foundation called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. We're trying to help them prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe, the kids stay safe, because it's still horrible out there. So I'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
Thank you so much. I would love, love to be able to check it out and, be a part of it,
Yeah.
because foundations at the end of the day are something that's so huge to me. That's actually one of my dreams. I would love to have a foundation in the inner city of somewhere big. I always said Detroit, because that's just where I kind of grew up,
Yeah.
and to be able to give back to them, and, to have those inner city kids love and find their passion, because I love watching, 30s on 30s on
Yeah.
ESPN, and college football, and hearing, that they came from a little high school that, didn't know if they could even turn the lights on during a Friday night football game, but yet they're the ones, playing at the University of Michigan or wherever they go to. The story is, I just love that, and it's something so special. So I can't wait to have my own foundation to be able to help them get to where they want to get to. So foundations are very meaningful to me.
All right. So actually, before we get to the last thing, since you're in Detroit, do you watch any other sports? Are you a Michigan fan? Or
I am. I'm definitely a Wolverine.
how about NFL team?
I honestly don't watch NFL so much just because I'm so connected to college football. But I guess if I had one, it would have been Denver Broncos,
Okay.
only because I lived in Salt Lake City for 12 years and they were
Yeah.
just right next door. So
Yeah, so the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the essential workers right now?
absolutely. I mean, thank you literally for everything that you have done for our country, for yourself, the patients, the work that you've put in. I mean, commencements. I mean, if anyone needs to be, bowed down to and honored and give a gold medal to,
Yeah.
it is them, absolutely for sure, because I cannot even have a hint of imagination, what they're going through, the hours of sleep that they're losing. So just, I mean, thank you as simply as that to do what they're doing and to put their life on the line for you and I and to never give up on anybody. So just it's a blessing.
You know what they should do? Obviously they deserve a pay raise and give them free tickets all year round for sporting events. So
That would be absolutely amazing.
yeah. Yeah, so I just want to say thank you again for coming on the show. This wraps up episode 882 with Kelly Gunther. She's a former long track speed skater, and now she's a motivational speaker. Go check her out. She competed in the 2014 Sochi Winter Olympic Games in Russia, and her resume speaks for herself. What a great story, inspiring story. Like I said, we got to put your story more out there so people can learn about it. But thank you again for coming on, Kelly. We would like to have you back on the show at some point so you can meet the full team. But keep up the great work. You're such an inspiration. You overcame a lot of adversity here. But thank you again, and stay safe.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, and I would totally be honored to come back. So thank you so much again.
Anytime, and I'll send you all the links and to the foundation too. So
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
yeah.